This lesson takes a look at the Bill of Rights, which was primarily written to include specific references to the rights that citizens had under their new government. And a lot of this was created in reaction to the oppression that the colonists had felt living under British rule. The new Constitution of the United States was heavily debated between Federalists and Anti-Federalists. During the process of ratifying this new Constitution, several states requested that the document be amended to include a Bill of Rights, and this Bill of Rights would specifically and clearly outline individual rights and protections. In order for several states to ultimately approve this new Constitution, they wanted the Bill of Rights to be added, largely in part because of the bad experiences that many colonists perceived and felt under the rule of Great Britain. The Bill of Rights is still a critical document in the United States today, and the first 10 amendments to the Constitution are officially referred to as the Bill of Rights. The states were not alone in their request for an amendment. In fact, in 1787, Thomas Jefferson sent a letter to James Madison about the Constitution. Jefferson wrote, "I will now add what I do not like. There is no Bill of Rights." Jefferson went on to outline that the Bill of Rights would include what specific rights that people are entitled to as citizens of the United States. As a living document, the Bill of Rights protects citizens from interference or encroachment from the government, and this is why it's still important to understand it today, because it's regularly used in the application of law. As mentioned before, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution are known as the Bill of Rights, so let's walk through the basic ideas behind these. The First Amendment has to do with religious and political freedom, and it was added in 1791. In this First Amendment, Congress is barred from making laws that establish an official religion or prohibit the free exercise of religion, speech, petitioning the government, or the right of people to assemble peacefully. In the Second Amendment, which is known as the right to bear arms, this was added in 1791, and it recognizes the right of people to keep and bear arms. This is one of the amendments to the Constitution that continues to be debated today because people have different opinions about how it was intended and how it should be implemented and held up in court. The Third Amendment has to do with quartering troops, and this is again a result of the direct experience that colonists had with the British. Some of them were forced to house British troops in their homes and to feed them, and they did not want to ever experience something like that again where the government required them to do this. So this was in 1791, and soldiers were prohibited from being ordered into a house without the consent of the owner. The Fourth Amendment was also added in 1791 and has to do with search and seizure. This is still an important part of criminal defense cases today. This amendment gives people the right to protect themselves against unreasonable searches and seizures by the government. Criminal rights are also referenced in the Fifth Amendment, added in 1791, and it is the first to outline protections for individuals accused of a crime and outlines the explanation of due process of law. The Sixth Amendment, added in 1791, continues discussing the rights of people accused of committing crimes. The Sixth Amendment specifically references the right to a speedy and public trial. The Seventh Amendment in 1791 provides that criminals have the right to be tried by a jury of their peers. And the Eighth Amendment, also in 1791, limits the fines and punishment, so no excessive fines or bail and no cruel or unusual punishments against people accused of a crime. The Ninth Amendment in 1791, the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights cannot be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people as a result of this amendment. The 10th Amendment in 1791 refers to the powers of state and people. Under this amendment, powers that are not delegated to the United States Constitution or prohibited by it to the states are reserved respectively to the states for the people. Those who drafted the Constitution of the new United States were largely influenced by their desire to create a Bill of Rights because of the experiences they had under the oppressive rule of Great Britain. The fact that individuals had so few protected rights that were outlined in the law is what encouraged these amendments, known as the Bill of Rights, and the ratification for their protection in the Constitution. Over time, the Bill of Rights has been amended to address a wide range of issues, and the Supreme Court is still charged with interpreting the constitutionality of laws and treatment today. And you can see just by looking at several of these amendments, even though they were included so soon after the development of the Constitution, they are still being interpreted by courts of law today. They are still being, explored in law schools and legal research. So they have a lot of implications, not just for the rights of citizens in the new United States, but the fact that it's such a living document and it's a written outline of protections really goes above and beyond to show just how important the Bill of Rights is across the board in American history and contemporary life.